Welcome to Distracted, the podcast with Angela Lockwood, the place where you will find practical brain-boosting strategies, expert insights, and real-life stories to help busy brains thrive in the age of distraction. Let's go. Welcome to Distracted. I'm Angela Lockwood. Thanks so much for joining me. It has been a little bit, actually. I have to admit, I have been a bit quiet on the podcast lately, and sort of that leads me into the topic of what I want to talk to you about today. And I see it time and time again when things pop up unexpectedly in our lives that, or even sometimes with a little bit of planning behind it, but it throws us off guard a little bit. And for me, it has definitely been a phase where I've had to reshift my focus. And there's been a lot of events that I've been speaking at lately across lots of different industries. And I'm hearing a question that's popping up a lot. And I want to have an opportunity to talk to you about that today, because I think if lots of different people from different industries are asking me this question, then probably you are thinking it too. So today I want to talk to you about unexpected focus. So what I mean by this is those things that are unexpected that pop up in our lives, but then require our attention immediately. And it could be something where, with all best intentions, you've got your goals, you're focused on them, you've been working really hard, you're really in that flow zone, but then something completely unexpected pops up and throws you completely off guard. And it is almost becomes the higher priority than everything. All your best laid plans that you've had now seem to fall by the wayside and seem to feel like they almost insignificant and unimportant because this new unexpected thing that's popped up now requires your absolute attention. And let me just sort of take a little step back here that this is life, right? This is things that happen in our lives. We can have all the very best laid plans that we want in life, and that we can do all the things. Like even on my office wall, I have a sign that says consistent focused action leads to inevitable success. And that almost becomes my mantra, because being distracted can be sometimes my default, that I have something that I'm working on and there are all these wonderful opportunities that pop up that sort of catch my attention. And I know I'm definitely not alone here. So many people find that they're distracted by those shiny objects or by the new project. It's almost like becoming distracted by the possibilities that are in front of us. And definitely I fall into that very often. But this consistent focused action is great when everything is going smoothly in life. And let me just say that again, that this consistent focused action is great when everything is going smoothly in life. But the very nature of our lives is that things pop up completely unexpected, sometimes completely left of field, sometimes that they've sort of been inching away a little bit. The little signs have been creeping into our lives that we've been ignoring. And then all of a sudden it comes to a head. And all of a sudden our focus and our attention completely needs to shift. And let me give you an example of what some of these are. If you're like, okay, I get it. There's some of those big ones that are really obvious to us. And that is like, if I become sick or if a child is sick, it's really interesting how quickly the things that are really important in our day or are really stressing in our day, the moment that we know that our child is sick, we drop it. All those other things, not the child, the tasks that we need, that we think were really important, that we know when our child is sick or they need to be home, then pretty much all of a sudden we work everything out to try to be there for our kids or to try to work out a way that we can support them. Other things that might be is when there's an emergency meeting at work that might pop up. So you have all your best laid plans for the day. You've got your top 3 priorities. You've got your focus for the day. Everything's scheduled. You put your buffers in. You've got some deep work time. Everything is textbook in your day. But then you get that email that says urgent and it says emergency meeting on at 12. And 12 o'clock for you was the time where you were going to go and have lunch and go outside and enjoy the sunlight, because you need that, because your current focus has been on your health. And you're like, my focus right now is looking after my health and well-being and not just be stuck at my desk all the time, eating my lunch and just giving all my energy and attention to my work. So that might have been your well laid plan for the day to go, I am going to stop, I'm going to go outside, I'm going to have something to eat, be in the sun, go for a little walk. But this email now has come through your inbox that says, right, those plans are no longer able to happen. And so you need to go to this meeting at 12 o'clock. And that meeting now needs your undivided attention. And what happens in that meeting might be something that really significantly affects you. So the plans that you had for the rest of the day are now sort of thrown out the window, and your attention needs to be on that new sort of meeting outcome. So that's another one. Another one might be if you're a teacher listening to this and your class is going really well, the day is flowing, you've got all the plan happening, and then a fight breaks out with two of your students right at the end of lunch. And there's an argument. One of the children, they might have even hurt the other child, or it might have been a big scenario that you now have to deal with because you were on playground duty. And so you had this great transition from lunch back into the afternoon classroom time. And that's all now gone out the window, that now you have to deal with this scenario that has popped up. And so all your plans need to shift as well. It might also be, that at night time you were thinking, great, I've got it all planned. I've got dinner planned. Everything is in my best sort of systems. I've done these beautiful bookend. And I'm mentioning, by the way, all of these strategies that I often speak about in my workshops and in my trainings with people. So things like bookend, deep work, all of these strategies are things that I'll often teach people around how to stay focused on what's really important to them. So even having these great strategies on board can be thrown out the window when something more of higher importance pops in. An example like this, as I was saying, at nighttime, that you could be making dinner, you could have all of this wonderful evening planned with everyone where you're going to round off the day, beautiful bookend strategy for the end of the day. And then you get a text message from a friend that says, can we talk? I really need you. And of course, in a moment like that, your best friend really needs you. And so what do? Do you say, look, no, tonight I really had some time set aside to read a book? No, of course you wouldn't, because you're an amazing friend. What you would do is you would say, no worries, I am here for you. And so your plans now get put to the side because something requires your attention. And you can hear all these different scenarios, right? You're like, and this is literally life. And it absolutely is. So what do we do in these unpredictable moments that require us to shift our attention to something of different focus? And I often talk about this if you've listened to previous episodes of Distracted or you're involved in some of my work, that focus is, distraction is the thing that pulls you away from your focus. So you could be focusing on your health right now, or you could be focusing on a big project at work. Distractions are the things that pull you away from that focus. So almost just separate your attention from that focal point. So an example is that friend that's called you. Your focus now is that conversation with them. And so your attention needs to shift from making dinner to focusing on what your friend needs in that conversation. Now, some people might go, what about boundaries? You had your plans and maybe your friend can wait. But very much you might have that friend that those phone calls happen all the time, and then you have the friends who that never happens with. So you make the judgment call, right? But usually what we would do in those moments is go, of course, I'm here for you if you need. So these unexpected moments that pop up are an absolute part of the natural flow of life. And I hear time and time again when I am presenting in my workshops, the question is, well, what if something happens that is against what my focus is right now? Things that are out of my control. And it's a really good question. It's a really great question because that is what happens in life all the time. Like if you think about your week last week, even your day yesterday, how many things in your life or in your day popped up that were totally reactive, that were unexpected, and you had to react to them? How many things in your day were you able to be proactive and really organize yourself for and be prepared for? but how many things popped up completely unexpectedly. And I see time and time again that those reaction moments, the moments that require you to almost react to them in the moment, happen more frequently than what we realize. So I want to give you a couple of strategies, and it's probably more questions that you need to ask yourself when these unexpected things pop up, because I know I can get really frustrated. And when I'm working with clients through mentoring, I see people get really frustrated when unexpected things pop up. And they, it's very much like, but I was doing so well and I had it all planned. And now this person popped up and now I have to do what they want me to do. Or, I was trying to get this project done, but my boss came in and said they really need to talk to me straight away. And then I just had to drop everything and that project is still sitting there. And I'm hearing you. If you've felt this, if you've experienced this time and time again, I feel you, because it happens all the time. Now, what we can do is sit in that frustration. So we can sit and be frustrated by those interruptions, or we can be really conscious in those moments and take control of those moments so that we don't live our lives responding to these unexpected moments that pop up all the time. So let me, if you are listening to this, if you have something that specifically, happens regularly that is completely unexpected. So that sounds like a bit of a contradiction there, doesn't it? It happens regularly and it's unexpected. But there might have been a situation that has, that you're like, Angela, I know exactly what you mean. This happened to me the other day. So think about that. Or it might be, if you want to think of any of those scenarios that I just spoke to you about, like the emergency meeting that's called, like a child being sick, like a classroom incident, or things like you get a phone call from your friend. It might be, it doesn't always have to be. I know a lot of people use like the terminal illness example, but that doesn't happen every day for most people, right? That what we want to do is those emergency meetings that are called actually probably do happen more regularly than what we like them to, and if not daily. It might be that somebody, you're working on something and something really important does pop up, that you have a big proposal, a client that's come through if you're running your own business, and you have to write the big proposal for them because it's going to mean a really big increase in income for you for that month. Then those little things that you had sort of planned for the day, you might go, well, they can wait. This is of more importance to me right now to make sure I deliver on this proposal in time, because I can see the benefit for me. So whatever you're thinking of, there's a few examples that you can use. Just work through with me when I go through these 3 questions, okay? And it'll help you in the moment to shift your attention so that you can focus on the new thing. All right. So the first thing is, where does my focus need to be right now? Now, this question is one that I talk about very frequently. Is too often what we're doing is trying to manage all the different distractions that pop up. What we don't ask ourselves is, well, where is it that I want to be focusing right now? So say if you're writing, you've blocked out time to do some really good deep work. All right. And you're working on that project, and then you get that email from your boss to say, hey, emergency meeting, 12 o'clock, you all have to be there. Now, you can get really super frustrated, get cranky. You can refuse to go if you want to, and you know that there'll be a negative sort of ripple effect after that. You can sort of throw your hands up and go, well, there's my day. What a waste of time. You can get caught in that sort of negative thinking, frustration scenario, or you can continue to go and at 12 o'clock, working on what you're working on. And then at 12 o'clock, ask yourself, where does my focus need to be right now? And if you can ask yourself that while you're walking into the room, you will pretty quickly realize that the answer to that question in this scenario is, my focus right now needs to be in this meeting. And what that does is it quietens the noise of what you were going to do in the day, what you were working on, that all those other things and those other stories that you're going to tell yourself about your day. If you take all of that into that meeting, then you won't be fully present in that meeting. And what you'll be doing is you'll be thinking about all the things you're missing out on. And that just causes a spiral of frustration. So just before you walk in, and if it's the meeting, if it's my child is sick, if it's any of those scenarios that we spoke about, you can sit in the frustration spiral of what else should I be doing right now? Or what else could I be doing right now? But I will guarantee that'll just keep you stuck in frustration. Okay. In fact, sometimes it even makes you get worse in the way that you're feeling. Whereas if something unexpected pops up that is important, and I don't mean the little unexpected things, something unexpected that is important, or things like a meeting is called that is compulsory that everyone has to go to that was out of your control, asking yourself the question, where do I need my focus to be right now? You can almost feel it, right? You can feel the quietening of the noise of everything else. And it's like everything just in a funnel comes down into this really clear point, and you can step into that next environment going, right, this is where my focus needs to be right now. So my attention is going to go to this meeting. All right. What we do too often is bring that frustration in, bring the crankiness in, and neither is anything else getting done, or and you are also not present in that meeting. All right. So you're really not doing anything particularly well. So if you can be really aware and think, well, where does my focus need to be right now? It allows that noise around you to quieten, and it allows that frustration spiral to stop for a moment. Just pause it for a moment so that you can go in being really clear and intentional about your time and your energy and your attention in that meeting. So if we take that to the other scenario, let's just use the one with a friend calling, right? You're in that nighttime routine, everything's going well, you've had a good day, and then you get that phone call from your friend, or that text from your friend. Can you feel how asking yourself this question again in this scenario like this also really helps? So you're going through the nighttime routine, the text comes through, and you ask yourself, okay, big deep breath, where does my focus need to be right now? And of course, where your focus is on your friend, on that phone call, on being present in that moment with that phone call. Now, yeah, it could mean that you have to remove yourself from the environment you're in. It could be headphones in. But if you continue to like cook and go along with your nighttime routine, putting the kids to bed and doing all that while you're having that conversation, you are doing neither well. You are not present or being intentional in either environment. And again, that unexpected focus that's required of you really does have, it requires you to be really intentional with where your focus needs to be. So if you can quieten the noise of everything else at a time that is, that suits you, or it could be that you need somebody to step in and help, which we're about to get to in a minute. Asking yourself, where does my focus need to be right now in that scenario, of course, is on what does my friend need from me in this conversation right now? And again, it allows all that noise to quieten down and for your focus just to be really crystal clear. Okay, so that first question is, where does my focus need to be right now when an unexpected thing pops up that requires you to shift your attention? All right. The second question is, what can wait? Now, this is a really interesting question to ask yourself, because we are so fantastic at being busy, keeping ourselves busy, going through all of the to-do lists and having all these tasks. And I'm going to put my hand up and I'm going to say, hey, I am totally with you on this one. But it is really interesting when something unexpected pops up that requires our shift in attention, how quickly so many of those things are no longer important. That when we shift our attention to a new focus, and it might be, that say, let's use the one of your child being sick, that pretty quickly, those things that you getting all the washing done today is no longer of importance, because you need to be there and be present and comfort your child and make sure that they're feeling comfortable and well supported by you. The washing, you don't even think twice about it. You'll get to that tomorrow. So those little things that we were working on, when something important and unexpected pops up, really quickly asking yourself, what can wait, will again allow a little bit of space for you to be created, but it also allows the noise to quieten, and all of those little things that aren't important allows you to shift your attention and your energy onto the new unexpected thing that is of more importance. Okay. So the first question was, where does my focus need to be right now? The second question is, what can wait? Now, for some people, as soon as I say that, they get this tightness in their chest. They get a tightness in the chest and they're like, but nothing can wait. Everything is important. But I will guarantee you that if something unexpected pops up that is really important to you and very much aligned with your values, or something that might even be completely out of your control that is required of you, like the meeting from the boss, very quickly, those small, unimportant things, you will quickly flick to the side. And like, even it's just so amazing. I just know so many times when my kids were little, I would have this day planned, and the minute that they're sick, just how quickly I could drop things, or how quickly I could shift my focus, or I could shift things in my day so that I could be present for them, because even though the sickness was really unexpected, that was my primary focus that was needed. Now, it doesn't mean some days I've been fortunate to be able to work for myself pretty much my whole career. So I have some control over my time. But it was interesting, even just how I would put my energy into ensuring that they were well and looked after and safe. And then I could go back to doing those smaller things that I felt was so important prior to them being sick, that were no longer as important but still needed to be done at some stage. So what can wait is an important question, because what it does is it stops the pressure of feeling, well, this thing now requires my attention, but so does all that other stuff. A lot of that other stuff doesn't need your attention right now, which leads me to the third and final question that I want you to ask yourself if something unexpected pops up that requires your attention, and that is, who can help? Yes. Now, again, some of you might be feeling that tightness in your chest, and I don't want you to feel tight in your chest at all. But asking for help is a real challenge for many people, particularly if we want to be feeling like we're doing everything and winning at everything in life. When something unexpected pops up, often it requires time of ours, it requires our energy. So we can't do everything that we were going to be doing. All of our well-laid plans just can't be done. So sometimes we do need someone to go. It might be a colleague. You might have been going to meet with a client, and that meeting was called by your boss that was really urgent, but you had another meeting that you were going to. Now, if you can't shift that meeting, then it might be calling on a colleague to go, hey, I've just been called into this meeting, really urgent. Would you mind meeting with that client, just seeing it? You might have had notes. It might have been something where they can step in and have the start of the conversation with you. And what that does is it allows you not to feel so stressed about missing out on, having that client meeting. So again, you can feel it. A lot of the things that I'm talking about today is when things unexpected pop up, it's almost like an immediate tightening of the chest that we can feel, a tightening of the head, or sometimes it might be an overwhelmed feeling of going, what now this? How in the world am I going to do this, as well as all of that? And it really does come down to, well, you can't do both at the same time, right? You can't let's use this meeting for an example. You can't be in that meeting as well as continue to do all your other stuff as you had planned, because it was unexpected. So who can help you is an important question. If you're like, right, I need to go into a little bit of, shifting of my attention. It might be a little bit of damage control sometimes. But asking someone for help is important for you to still feel like you are in control of your time, but you also have the focus and the energy to be able to focus on this new unexpected thing. All right, I'm going to recap those three things for you. So the first question, something unexpected pops up that requires your attention. So it becomes your new focus area. All right, first thing is, where does my focus need to be right now? And in fact, if you don't ask yourself the other two questions, it's fine. But this particular question is the most important. So where does my focus need to be right now? allows you to then be really fully present, be very intentional with why you are there and what that situation needs from you. The second question is, well, what can wait? So not everything needs to be done immediately, even though your plans were in place. If something unexpected pops up, the great thing is give yourself a pat on the back for having the plan in the first place. What we see often with people, particularly people who ask for mentoring support and feel like they're either stuck or in that sense of overwhelm, is they don't have the plan in the first place, that they have the intention, but not the plan. So if your plans have been, thrown out the window because of something unexpected, the plan is still there. So you still know what your priorities are. You still know what needs your attention. It just means that right at this minute, your focus can't be on those things. Your focus needs to be on this new, important, unexpected thing that has entered your life. And the last question is, who can help? Very important question. If you are feeling like this new situation, this new unexpected area that's popped up in your life really requires your attention and your energy and your time, then asking for help will be something so important to you, because it'll stop the frustration cycle. It'll stop you from feeling stressed, tighten your chest, feeling overwhelmed, and it will just release a little bit of the pressure. Now, if straight away you said, no one can help me with what I need help with, I can guarantee you that if we sat together, I would find somebody to help you with that. So it may not be right in the immediate circle of your family or your friends. You might need to look a little bit further afield, but there is always someone can help you with whatever you need, if you just ask. All right. So unexpected focus was the topic of today, and we get it right. Things unexpectedly happen all the time in our lives, and we can either be stuck in that frustration cycle. It might even be anger cycle. It might be resentment cycle. You put in whatever word you want there, but it's an emotion cycle that keeps us stuck, and it doesn't really serve us well. So if something unexpected pops up in your life, ask yourself, where does my focus need to be right now? And the other stuff, just let it either let it wait, ask somebody for help, or reprioritize. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that today. If anything resonated with you that I've spoke about today, please let me know over on socials at Instagram. It'll be Angela Lockwood _ or please connect with me on LinkedIn, where I am most active. And there's a whole lot of resources on LinkedIn, articles I've written. But of course, if something in this episode really resonated with you, or you know that something's happening in somebody that you care about's life, who would be, I guess it would be beneficial for them to listen to this right now, then please share it with them. It's really important, because so much of our lives can feel like it's out of our control, but how we turn up and how we step into those things that sometimes feel out of our control can really shift our experience and the reality of the situation. If you are interested in connecting about having a workshop in your workplace to help your staff feel cared for, that you care about their well-being and you really want them to thrive, then please reach out to support@angelalockwood.com.au and let's have that conversation about how I can support your team. But until next time, everyone, take care of yourself. Obviously, take care of your attention. And the question I want to leave you with today is, where does your focus need to be right now? All right, everyone, take care. I'm Angela Lockwood. Thanks so much for joining me.